and so it was really disastrous at first. So I couldn't continue full time, and then I started I was like recommended to Kyoto University, Osaka University, and other places by Japanese professors. But then they have all the national institutions like have a limit of age 65, so that was no good. And then the regular job hunting sometimes like uh, treated like disrespectfully, in applying for jobs, and so I felt I was losing, losing face with my wife, and I wanted to work as much as possible, and so that's what I talk about, this sense of vertigo, of like you don't want it to change too suddenly, so feelings of, insecurity or, feeling erased. And so it was quite, disastrous at first. And then it's gradually, before I think the next school year started, just really late in the process. And then I finally was able to get on at like one, a medium type of university in Kyoto, like a teaching, English classes. And then finally, at the last minute, I had, a breakthrough where I could teach at Kansai University. And so it started like with one class, and then it sort of escalated, like where they, we need someone, who is knowledgeable about all different academic fields, for a new program on global faculty development. And so I have a publication about that, and and so it turned out to be a wonderful experience at Kansai University, and I also taught at a couple of other places where it got to the point where first I didn't have enough, and then it got to the point where it was too much, and I could pick and choose, where as I wanted to teach, so so don't get too worried at first, and also never surrender to ageist stereotypes, or dismissiveness toward people because of age. Some places will discriminate against you and there's so many different ways that you can't even guess. So it could be age. They're looking for a person of a certain profile, or they've already decided, who they're going to hire, so don't take it personally. So, and then be present, then, make your presence known, in various circles, and stay active. And so the kinds of, work that people can do as semi-retired, there are many possible things. So people can earn quite a lot in Japan while receiving a full pension. So I think you can make over 5 million yen a year and still receive a full pension. And so what I was doing is I was teaching just about the same amount as when I was full-time, but just for about a quarter of the salary, then plus the pension. And so that was all right, as far as it went. And so I think there are many opportunities for mature language educators. So there are needs that you can consider. There are national, international needs, for teachers' skills. And I mentioned faculty development, and this is something that maybe is unlikely that you would be invited to do such things, but you can actually bring things up and maybe try to create a position for yourself, where you know people. And so for instance, with the need for English medium instruction, then there's a whole, a whole generation of Japanese faculty members, who were, looking to go into, English medium instruction. And so they, could need someone to, mentor them in that. And then also you can even go beyond that to actually, if you offer to help that professors, to publish in English, to publish in academic journals. I think there's a huge need for that, and And so I wasn't even asked to do that at Kansai University, but that turned out to be one area where I did turn out to be useful, where I could help like a professor publish in a prestigious linguistics journal, and where it was really given a hard time by the editors. And so there are so many things in that area. They're working with, faculty colleagues, so editing or reviewing, manuscripts. So there's so many, new electronic journals, and there are journals nowadays, where, as you know, that most people using English are non-native speakers. And then many of the journals maybe have good content, but their English is a mess, and so it detracts from their, the quality of their work. So there's a great demand, for our work. So a lot of this, is maybe on unpaid work, but so some is paid according to what you need, and then where you have the utori or the extra energy to do things, voluntarily. And so some of the work that for people who are good at Japanese, translating or interpreting, or guiding visitors to Japan. So normally around 2019, there was a huge, increase in tourism in Japan. So here where I live near Kyoto, especially, so it was really good for the universities in the Kansai area that were related to English or international studies. So I hope that things will get back to normal in that area. And then there's all sorts of, volunteer work, of course, that you can do that you didn't have the energy or time before, in your community or societal activism, and so I think this can include, politics, because nowadays there's so much disinformation circulating that, educators are in the position to combat. And then the sphere of your action, can be within Japan, it can be in your home country, in the case of immigrants like us, or it can be, globally, because the internet, of course, affords, global online communication. And so recently, like there is a kind of a abused concept of freedom, which often, means like a freedom from this or that, but there's also the freedom to, or the freedom for, which, gives us, more like a meaning in life. And so like the topic of your LLC, like a lifelong learning of all different sorts, so reading and free time activities. So that you, during your active, working, teaching career, then you had to mostly focus on your own field and mostly focus on, the nonfiction, or the heavy duty, like academic sources in your, specialization. So, but then after, in, semi-retirement, and then you can say, oh, I always wanted to read, this kind of fiction or the classics, or else I want to reread, so Plato, or other, or the Carl Jung, or other things that you simply had, an interest in. And then if you read them before, like the Hermann Hesse novels that you read in your youth, that now that reading again is from a completely different, almost different self, from a different perspective, and see how you have changed, over, 50 years or more, and then so free time activities, of course, are endless, whatever your, your hobbies or interests are. And then also writing for popular media, websites, or social media. So again, when you're, in an active academic career, and then you are, almost forced to, write for these sort of quantitative or, or the ones that count, that for, on various, criteria. So that you are freed, and I think you can contribute more to society by writing for all different, media, so for magazines or, newspapers, that, write, articles in all your different languages. And sometimes it doesn't even matter much where you publish something, but just to get your message across, and then there's all different, academic communication, of that can be kind of mentoring and or just participating in social media like we do, or we discuss and belong to Facebook groups. A lot of them are like Instagram and so superficial, but some groups do have deep discussions about Japan or your area of specialization. And then I would like to also mention the cycle of publication, promotion, and curation. And so I think that we'd like to just express ourselves, and to write and to publish things, but then if we don't promote it in some ways, then then people don't read it, and so we writers are really dependent and grateful for our readers, to give our writings meaning. So publication, promotion, and curation. And so once something is published, and then there are ways to for example, that where you publish then may go defunct, that links can go dead, and so you can under certain circumstances, with like permission of publishers. So I've been able to back up almost everything I've published in over the last more than 20 years. I'm able to get the publisher's permission, or to back them up at places like research repositories. And so I use three of those. A lot of people, that poo-poo about academia.edu, and yeah, but as long as they're giving people the chance to read things for free, so they're hosting your heavy files, and as long as people can you can ignore like the logging in and just scroll down to read those articles, then it provides a useful service. So look what happens when you sign up for a free site like a SlideShare was recently acquired by Scribd, and they are monetizing it. And so now that you have to like to be a paying member to read the things that we posted to SlideShare, all over 40 slideshows, and we never signed up to be monetized like that, where someone else is making the money for our work. And then there's also ResearchGate. Some people, they find that superior to academia edu, but that it's really difficult to compare them. And so as long as you can just scroll down and read things for free, then I'm okay with it. And then I also I publish not only academic things, but also creative works, like books of poetry, short stories or artistic things. So I publish that actually with an American repository called the Humanities Commons. So you might look them up, and actually they have government grants, and they're going to spread into the social sciences and other areas. And so that and they give it like a DOI address to all, even your creative works, and so that's another good one. So, but you can use different sites for different purposes. Okay, so that's very quickly running through some of my topics. So I'd like to thank you for listening. Sorry we had a little turbulence there, and I hope you could hear the rest of my presentation once it got started. So also the photo in this, the last one was a woman that one of my former students, who was the oldest student to graduate in at Japanese university at age 83.
Wow.
And then even like a Turkish journal was interested in, publishing her story. And then the photo in the previous slide was actually at one of my like a JICA presentations, where we're introducing Japan to officials from all different countries in the world. And then so I have a couple of, so links here. I think that you can find like just with a web search on my name, but there's like that related publications is the Turkish article, and then meeting global faculty development needs in Japan. So that article can help you find out what universities really need among our services, because I asked all the faculty members what they really needed, not just what I was assigned to to guide them on. And then just one other publication I'd like to mention that became very well read is Online Education as a Discipline, and that's just to to help you become more maybe better educated or more empowered to work in the area of online education, which has become very needed recently, as you all know. Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
Steve. Yeah, that's a great presentation on how to have a fulfilling retirement. So thank you. Go ahead, Joseph.
Yes, I just wanted to say, yes, Steve, you came through loud and clear after just 20 seconds or so of turbulence.
Yeah.
So it was no problem whatsoever. And yes, you came back very smoothly. So thanks for that smooth comeback. So also, thank you for that wide-ranging talk about what we could get up to in our so-called retirement years in inverse commas. So does anyone have any questions for Steve? We have a few minutes.
I almost want to call them our reinvigorament years after that presentation.
Yeah.
A lot of inspiration and things we can get up to. It's great. Thank you.
And one thing Steve didn't say is that he has continued to teach, I believe it is at Osaka Jogakuen University, due to the tragic sudden loss of one of his colleagues. So, and that made it possible for him to continue teaching up until the age of 72. It's not always possible for us to teach, continue teaching at that age. At our institution, for example, the uppermost age is 68. So I think it's good before you're coming up for retirement to just investigate other options for institutions that have higher retirement ages, where you might want to continue working if you want to and you're able to.
Yes, Joe, I forgot to mention actually about the tapering, that actually that went from 65 to 70, so I worked just as hard as when I was full-time, but then at 70, then I reached the age limit of Kansai University. So no matter how good it was going, suddenly you're gone, and the administrators are, stepping in. So it's kind of almost ludicrous, that at an arbitrary, time, to be cut off. So since the age, but at the same time, after age 70, I did want to, to slow down, and teach less, but still do just as much, in academic activities, especially, speaking, and writing. I think about what you mentioned, that it wasn't maybe not quite what you were saying about a colleague, that actually that at JOLT 22, I would like to, to pay tribute to a professor in Matsuyama, who after retiring, then he finally had the time, and he became like the chapter president of the Matsuyama JOLT, and I was so happy that happened, and as the founder of that chapter. And so that was really what, it always, wanted things to work out as. So finally, so that's an example of what a person can do then after retirement. Then now you have the time and you could be like a chapter officer and be active in ways that you couldn't before. So, but in this case, unfortunately, that he just suddenly died, at the end of last year. And but at the same time, so I'd like to pay tribute to Professor Kiyoshi Shioigi. But at the same time, then going out with a bang like that, then you can be like more more strongly remembered. And so we're all just there, but for fortune.
Right. Yeah.
It's true. Yes. Thank you very much for that tribute, Steve, and for your talk and showing us how many pathways are available to us into the future. So we look forward to having you in on our forum at the JOLT National Conference as well. Looking forward to that. Thank you. Thank you.